All right, wait a second. You gotta hold this thing right. Call the meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Chairman DeMaria.
Here.
Vice Chairman Albrecht.
Here.
Mr. Bushnell. Mrs. Kiefer. Here. Mrs. Seberg. Here. Mrs. Sebeski. Here. Mr. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Alonso. Here. Ms. Maddock.
Here.
Dr. McGorrick, are there additions or deletions to the agenda?
There's a personnel addendum to be added to the consent agenda and a student services, student enrollment item to be added to the discussion agenda.
Thank you. I assume there's no announcements or spotlights?
None.
None. Okay. Anybody else feeling unbalanced right here?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't know. Sit on that side. I'm starting to get a tilt here. People on the camera say, what is that idiot talking about? And we will go on to committee reports. Mr. Williams, anything for academics?
No report.
Mr. Albrecht, education support.
Yes, sir. We've got a vendor from a proposal from a solicitation we had. We will have an education support meeting tentatively scheduled for the 4th of October. The clerk will confirm the time once the vendor is confirmed.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Sebeski, anything for policy?
No report.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair of Finance, anything for finance? No, you're chairman now.
Chairman.
Okay, we need to change that when we get a chance.
I can be whatever you'd like me to be, sir.
I was looking for good looking, but we're going to skip over that one. Anything on finance,
We
sir?
do. We will have a finance meeting next week on the 21st to go over last year's year-end budget and establish the budget calendar for this academic year.
Thank you.
What time and where?
6:30 p.m. Central Office.
Thank you, sir.
And formal announcements will be coming out.
We'll start with board member comments. Am I right on that? Yes, I am. Ms. Alonso?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this past Friday, Osborne beat Potomac 34-27, which was, as the news called it, a record-breaking night for some of our players. And Osborne's back-to-school night is this upcoming, what month are we in? September 22nd. Sorry about that, guys. And this past Saturday, I got to go photograph the color run as part of CCN Manassas, which is a club that you go around town and you photograph, you know, the events and the people. And I really encourage a lot of people to get out there because it's really cool to see the community come together for events like that, especially students at Osborne. It's a really good opportunity to give back to your community and, you know, get out there to get to know your town.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Ms. Maddock?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope everyone has had a great 2.5 weeks back to school. I know I have. They've been really busy. The homework load this year is a little crazy. But what I want to talk about tonight is just being positive because I know we're getting back into the school year and we had a great summer. We walked in with our heads held high and now they're starting to sink little by little as we start doing the work. But just stay positive and make sure that if you're positive, that everyone around you is positive, and give out compliments and smile because that just makes everyone so much happier, and it's so much better to be happier in school because so much more work gets done, and it just promotes an anti-bullying environment, which of course we want in our school systems. So if you see someone that looks like they're not smiling or having a tough time, compliment them because your positivity will feed onto theirs. So have a great next couple weeks. Thank you.
You are so good looking. I just want to listen to what you say. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Ms. Kiefer?
I'm going to smile it.
Smile.
Okay. I'm going to be really short because tonight we have the most important information and it's the beginnings of our student achievement. So I don't want to take time away from the great presentations about to come. But I did want to say welcome back. There was a ton of excitement going through the halls of the various back-to-school nights that we've been able to be a part of so far. We look forward to more. Listening to the band at the game, watching the football players, the cheerleaders. It's just been a lot of excitement going around. So we want to keep that going, as our ladies have said. And there was a lot of preparation to get us to that first day by a lot of people. And so special thanks to the teachers, staff, administration, the parents, the kids. It was just a good start to the year. As I said, we'll be talking about a lot about academic achievement tonight, so that's a great topic. And I just wanted to leave it with, we watched our kids fight really hard at that football game last week. It was up, it was down, it was back, it was forth. We were jumping, we were going, oh, you know, we were just seeing a lot of things. But at the end of the day, those kids always saw the end goal, and they kept the end goal in mind. And I know that everybody here is committed to that end goal. So let's have a great year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
How about Ms. Seaberg first?
Well, you're new. All right, he said Mrs. Seaberg, so go ahead, if that's what he wants.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say welcome back to everybody. Be sure to stop for buses. Have a great year. Go Eagles.
See, I knew it wasn't going to be long, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Don't worry, I got your back. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. It's great to see all these familiar faces back in the audience. I don't have much tonight, but I do have a quote for you all. I just came across on the train on my ride in today, back from work. And the quote is, our greatest fear should not be a failure, but of succeeding at things that are not important. Too many times we try to focus on things which are not really important in the scheme of things, and the things much more important, so keep your eye on the goal. Don't worry about failing when you're trying to do things that are really important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Zbesky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome back to the school year to all of the staff and our students. I was privileged to be in many of the buildings on the first day of school and have been to many of the back-to-school nights. It's just so great to see such positive energy flowing in most of our buildings, or in all of our buildings that I was able to get into, and I'm sure that everyone's gotten off to a great, energetic year. I too would like to congratulate the Eagles on their win on Friday night. And for those people who may or may not have realized, our Osborne Eagles did go out this past Saturday, and they had tag day. That's when they go door to door looking for it's a fundraiser for the band. So anyone that wasn't home, like myself, because I think there was literally about 1 million things going on in the city of Manassas on Saturday, don't hesitate to still send a check to the band in your support as a fundraiser for them. So I have one for them, which I will make sure I get over to Osborne this week. So go Eagles and have a great year.
Thank you. Mr. Albright.
Thank you, sir. I mean, I think if people have put it in perspective, we're going to hear about academics tonight, and that's what's important. But the last couple of Fridays sure have been fun in Old Town. People who know me know it doesn't matter if it's a pro game, a college game, a high school game. At the 2-minute point, I try to sneak out and beat traffic. And I could not leave last Friday night. I stood there by the gate just watching it go back and forth, and it was just a fantastic game. So it is fun to watch the excitement we have within the community. Just one other item, which is there is the legislative conference on Thursday down in Charlottesville. A couple of us will be going, talk about grassroots advocacy and potential pending legislation at the state and federal level.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your dedication to that. Everybody else has spoke, right? I didn't miss anybody. Back to school, it's different now. Am I right? It seems like it's more of a celebration, and the way you guys are doing things in our elementary schools and the secondary schools, it's got to energize our kids, and it's so exciting to see the way it's done now. Mr. Rupert, I'd like to call you out on, we did our redistricting last year, and he's got a new neighborhood, and he made sure that he went out and made sure that those kids were familiar with him and the fact that they were now going to go to Weems, and that sort of thing is what we need in our community, and the way that everybody was accepted and excited about going to their new schools and their regular schools, and it was just really nice this year, and it was very exciting for everybody to come out that way. It's nice also that after 10 years, I don't have to talk about football anymore. Seems like everybody else has got that covered. And from every meeting from here till November, November 8th, make sure you get out and vote. I don't care who you're voting for, make sure you get out and vote. And vote local. It's more important than anything else you do, as far as voting goes. Thank you. I have no citizens signed up to speak. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move the school board of the City of Manassas adopt the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mrs. Sebeski, that the school board of the City of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries 6-0. And we'll move on to the discussion agenda. Student enrollment. Dr. Stone. It might be you, sorry. She's not a mister.
Well, good evening, Chairman Demaria, Dr. McGurk, members of the board. Tonight I get to present to you our enrollment after the 10th day of school. Very excited to share with you. We had a very smooth opening. It went very well. And as Mr. Demaria talked about, our redistricting process worked very smoothly. We give a lot of credit to our elementary school principals who did an amazing job of welcoming our families in prior to the end of school, which we think made the initial opening very smooth. To that end, we only had 16 transfers that were requested based on the redistricting issues. We were able to accept all of our student transfer requests, as well as continue to meet the K-3 class size requirements with minimal changes at the elementary level this year. As you can see overall with our enrollment, we are currently up by 62 students over last year's enrollment at this time. We are under our projected enrollment by about 70 students. However, we expect to meet or exceed that amount as last year from actual enrollment to the September 30 account of students, we gained 75 students, so we will certainly meet our target there. And that overall is our enrollment.
Thank you very much. All right, is there any questions or comments? Mr. Albrecht.
Mr. Hawkins, just a quick note, since we have a finance meeting we just set up for the 21st, could we just get a quick finance update on the enrollment as of then, realizing it's not quite September 30th, but since we're 70 under what we projected, that could have implications? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Stone. Bada bing. Student performance and balanced scorecard. Mr. Lyon.
Good evening, Chairman Demaria, Dr. DeMore, you jinxed me, Dr. McCord, members of the board. It's
contagious, isn't it?
It is, very contagious.
Yeah.
It's the smile,
Yeah.
really, it is. It's the smile. But I am honored tonight to stand before you and share the achievement data from last year. The data I'm about to share is the SOL performance data from 15-16. This data is used by us every year to evaluate our programs, to analyze the alignment of our curriculum, our assessments, and so forth, and continually improve how we teach, how we assess, and how we move student achievement down the road. So I'm excited to share this with you. I will be sharing with you analysis from the division level by subject, from the high school level by subject, and then a cohort analysis from grade 8 down to grade 3. And
We're going home sometime tonight, right?
depends how comfortable I am here. All right. Okay, so the first analysis we'll take a look at is by subject level from the division. And as you see, this is a 4-year analysis. And I'm excited when I look at this graph, though we have a lot of work still to do. We have a great trend over 4 years of a positive growth trend over the last 4 years. These last 4 years, we have implemented an instructional framework from grades K through 12 to ensure fidelity of instruction and ensure alignment with instruction and assessment. We've also increased our professional development and expanded our professional development program to include all teachers and really target their needs to support them and give them the tools to work with our diverse population. We also have amazing teachers. They have done amazing work. They take a diverse population, students who can't even speak English, get them to proficient in 4 years, get them ready to take a test. We have the best teachers, no doubt about it. We also have a great intervention program. Though it's not perfect, we continuously improve it. It has helped and it has definitely improved student performance, along with our coaches. Our academic coaches do an outstanding job with that too. As you see here, we have positive trends in all subject areas. Science, you'll see consistent performance. The trend there isn't quite like the other areas, but we are focused on that to improve that too. Going a little further now, looking at the subgroups. Out of the subgroups, you'll see the same trends. Each subgroup has a positive trend line going forward, and this is reading. I want to point out a few things here. The subgroups with the gold circles and the bold numbers with the star indicates that subgroup outperformed the state pass rate for that subgroup. So if we look at GAP Group 2, the African American students, if we look at that, our pass rate for that subgroup GAP Group 2 was 68%. The state pass rate for that same subgroup for reading was 66%. So we outperformed the state in that subgroup. Though we have work still to do, we're going in the right direction. If we look at students with disabilities, that's another subgroup. Our pass rate was 49%, still a lot of work to do, but we outperformed the state. And the state pass rate for that was 46%. So we have outperformed the state there. And some of the incredible jumps there, I think when you look at the students with disabilities, 4 years ago they were at 39. We've made a lot of growth. We still have a lot of growth to make there, but we're moving in the right direction. When we look at the subgroup of white students, same thing with the 88% pass rate, where the state was, I believe, 86. So we outperformed the state by 2 points there too. So we're definitely making strides in the right direction. The positive trends are there. Now looking at math. Math is our strong suit. And we look at these subgroups here. I believe there are 9. 8 out of the 9 outperformed the state pass rates in those same subgroups for math. Looking at GAP Group 1, which is a collection of students who are disabled, who receive limited English proficiency services and have been identified as economically disadvantaged. The students only count once in that subgroup, but the pass rate for that subgroup is 72%, and the state pass rate for that same subgroup is, lost my place, sorry, is 68%. So we beat them by 4 points there. GAP Group 2, again, our pass rate in math there for that subgroup is 72%. The state is 67%. GAP Group 3, ours is 75%. The state is 72%. The Asian subgroup, 94%. State is 93%. Economically disadvantaged, we have a 73% pass rate. The state is a 69%. Limited English proficient, our pass rate is 69%. The state is 66%. Students with disabilities, our pass rate is 51%, and the state is 49%. In the white subgroup, our pass rate is 89%, and the state is 86%. Some of the biggest jumps, when you look at GAP Group 1, 2, and the economically disadvantaged group, 17-point jumps over the last 4 years. We still have work to do, but we've made great strides. Our teachers, our interventionists, our coaches, all of the programs I've mentioned that we've implemented over the last 4 years are making a difference. And the teachers are the delivery mechanism to make that happen. And we've got to give parents some credit too. I mean, parents are there helping the kids. Parents are there to make sure they're getting their homework done at night. And, and ultimately at the end of the day, the kids need the pat on the back. These standards haven't been easy. The standards have changed over the last 4 or 5 years. I'm sure Faith and Iris, the demands on students have increased as far as learning and mastery of those standards. And they're responding, the teachers and the students. Good job. Looking at our division and comparing us to other divisions that are similar demographics and only have one high school, we noticed some things that I think we need to take note of here. When you look at this, to the right column, you'll see Manassas City's division level pass rates for reading, writing, history, math, and science, which I just reviewed. But when you look at this table, you'll see right away in reading and math, anything that's green, we either met or exceeded those other divisions' pass rates. So when we look at reading and math, we're either we're exceeding their pass rates or we're at the same level as them. And I think that's important to note, that we are really making strides here. Taking a look at the high school. Now the high school, we wanted to do this for a couple different reasons. One, to do cohort reporting at the high school is difficult because of the study pathways and everything. It's hard to do a grade level cohort at the high school because everything now is subject specific, whereas from middle school down, everything's grade level specific. So we wanted to do something here and so that we could bring that to Osborne. And when you look at Osborne across the top row, you'll notice in reading at an 86% pass rate last year, in writing 82, history 77, math 82, and science 75. And when comparing Osborne High School to other high schools in the Washington area with similar demographics, you'll see the green shaded areas are the areas that either, again, we met at their same level of pass rates or we exceeded their level of pass rate. And one thing that jumps out again is math. If you look down the math column, it's all green. You know, that is once again our strong suit. And then with reading, we're closing in. You know, they're more green than not in that column. We have a little work to do in history and science, and we're getting there in writing too. But one thing I want to point out here too is when you look at the systems, I mean, there's 5 Fairfax County high schools that we're, you know, outdoing in several areas. There's 3 in Prince William. I mean, we're up there with the big systems in the many areas. Now I want to move into, you know, 8th grade down to 3rd grade into cohort analysis. And this is for reading. You'll notice in a few of these cohorts, you'll notice there's a star next to a pass rate. That star indicates when the standards changed and the rigor and the level of understanding and the higher demand on the students' mastery of learning started coming into play at those new standards. So when we look at last year's 8th graders, class of 2020, they began the new reading standards in 5th grade. They have worked on their reading skills over the last 4 years. As you see, 13-14 and 14-15, they increased their performance. Last year in 15-16, we did have a decrease with that class. Ms. Buckheit will be speaking to that 8th grade reading score when she presents her data here in 2 meetings from now. And she'll share through her plans going forward with that. 7th grade students, they began the new reading standards in 4th grade back in 12-13 and have continued to make steady progress over the next 3 years. They went from a 59% in 12-13 to a 75 in 15-16. They're not done yet. We still have work to do, but that, once again, it's a nice rate of improvement. Class of 2022, 6th grade students, they started the new reading curriculum in grade 3 in 12-13. They've continued along the way. They made progress in 14-15. They had a 1-point decrease last year, which is virtually almost the same as the previous 71 and 72, virtually the same. So once again, Mrs. Mills will be speaking to the 5th and 6th grade reading scores when she presents and her plan going forward for improving those performances. Now, from the 5th grade down, from last year's 5th graders down, you'll notice there isn't a star. That's because these students began the standards before grade 3. Grade 3 is our first grade level that takes SOL tests. So last year's 5th graders, class of 2023, began the new standard, the reading standards in 2nd grade. So they had 1 full year, a non-testing year, to get the new standards under their belt. They came in their first time at the reading test in 13-14 to a 65% pass rate. Thereafter, they continued to make improvements each year. So they've gone from a 65 to a 74. Last year's 4th graders in class of 2024, they began the new standards in 1st grade. They started in 14-15, grade 3. Their first attempt on the SOL reading test was a 71% pass rate, and then last year was a 72. 1 point gain in the right direction. And then last year's 3rd graders, they were the first students to actually begin their educational career under the new standards the entire way. And when you look at their pass rate, they came in with their first attempt in the SOL reading test, grade 3, is 73% pass rate. What I'd like you to do is take a look at last year's 3rd graders and 4th graders. Their first attempts under the new standards, they had the most instructional time under the new standards. They both had their first reading test pass rates in the 70s, the low 70s. Now, if you look above them and look at the other older cohorts, all of their first attempts at the reading SOL test were in the 60s or below. That goes to show you the more instructional time that we have under the new standards with these students, we will start to see major jumps in these reading scores as the students come through. In addition to the instructional framework we've put in over the last 4 years, that has increased the consistency and fidelity of instruction, along with other PD and other initiatives that we've put in place. Now moving on to math, we're looking at the math performance by cohort. Math gets a little tricky. When you leave the elementary levels and the intermediate levels to the middle school, there are different pathways for students in the math curriculum. So looking at the class of 2020, last year's 8th graders, they began the new math standards back in 11-12 when they were 4th graders. And their first time on the math SOL test, they got a 67% pass rate. When they finished the 6th grade in 13-14, they had an 84% pass rate. Now what happens is when they go to middle school, several students start to take different pathways to prepare themselves for their high school level courses and where they want to go down the road. So when they went into 7th grade in 14-15, some students went to Algebra 1 and some stayed with the grade 7 grade level math. And that's why you'll see this split out, because it's not a true cohort anymore because the students are breaking out. So in 14-15, the grade 7 math was 69 and Algebra 1 is 94. In 15-16, students who stayed on grade level for math got a 70% pass rate. So when you compare, there's a 1-point gain for that group from the previous year. And Algebra 1 students in grade 8 got a 93%, and grade 8 geometry got a 100% pass rate. Looking at last year's 7th graders, same cohort breakdown. They began the new standards back in grade 3 in 11-12, and they had a 58% pass rate on their first attempt. Over the next 3 years, they continued to have growth, and they ended in 6th grade with an 84% pass rate. When they got to 7th grade last year, the 7th grade students who stayed at grade level had a 64% pass rate, and Algebra 1 a 97% pass rate. And looking down to the intermediate and elementary levels, grade 6 students started the new standards in 2nd grade. Again, remember that's a year before they began taking the SOL tests. So they had 1 year of instruction under the belt. So their first time taking the math SOL test in 12-13, they had a 61% pass rate. By the time they finished 6th grade last year, they had 82% pass rate. They made a nice gain. In 5th grade, these students started the new standards in 1st grade. In their first time taking the test in 13-14 was a 58% pass rate, and then in 15-16 with an 82% pass rate. Again, a nice improvement. In 4th grade, these students began new math standards while kindergartners. So this is where we start to see some really neat gains. Their first attempt on the math SOL test, a 72%. Same trend as we saw at the reading for students who started in kindergarten. This year, in grade 4, 82%, a 10-point jump in 1 year. It's just, that speaks to the instructional time under these standards with everything we've put in place, how effective things are going to start to come through. And 3rd grade students who also began their new standards in kindergarten took their first attempt at the math SOL test at a 74% pass rate. So we expect to see some even bigger gains coming forward down the road. For state accreditation, we're looking at having 7 out of 8 schools fully accredited. And moving to the balanced scorecard. Our balanced scorecard, I've already reviewed our SOL pass rates for the subject areas, so I won't review them right here again. But you can see we're closing in on our targets that we've set for ourselves, but haven't met them yet, so we're moving the same targets forward 1 more year. And the advanced pass rates, you'll see our advanced pass rates, we're consistent from year to year at this point, so the targets, we just push them forward another year for that. Average daily attendance last year was 94%, or 94.12 for the division. Our goal for ourselves is 96, so we're closing in. We had a slight bump, or a slight increase from last year. The graduation data has not come in yet. The state will publish the graduation rates on September 28th. I'll share those with you when they come in. We did have an increase on our AP, on students scoring 3+ in our AP tests. Last year was 42.5, this year is 44.1. We still have work to do, but again, it's in the right direction. ACT scores. Our ACT scores came in. There was a decrease in the ACT scores, so we pushed those targets again forward with no change. SAT scores are embargoed right now, so I'm not able to share them, but once they're unembargoed, which will be at the end of the month, I'll share those with you then. The instructional staff retention rate, we're at 85%, down slightly from the previous year. Percentage of teachers with post-grad degrees, we're at 59.9, and our teacher absentee rate is 6.74. So our targets there, you can see, we didn't quite meet them, so we just pushed those targets forward another year. And communications. On this slide, I'm going to jump down to the bottom, and then Ms. Radford will come back and address some of the items at the top. I will start with the extracurricular participation rate. Last year, we had 41% of our student population participating in extracurricular activities. This year did increase up to 46%. Not quite to our target, but we're getting closer. The fine arts participation went from 45 to 47. In the parent-teacher conference, went from 49% of our students having conferences last year to 73% this year. Our target is 96, and we're moving in the right direction, but we still have some work to do there, but we're getting there. And Ms. Radford.
Good evening. I have a few things that I'd like to note about the balanced scorecard for communication. As you can see, under the average number of stakeholders responding to external surveys, we did have an increase in that this year to 425 for our average over the 70 that we had in 2014-15. I would like to attribute that to the fact that we did revamp the way that we've conducted surveys beginning last year. Many of you remember with our counseling survey and some other things that we were doing, our outreach to get responses was enhanced, and I do believe that that lends to the fact that we got a higher response. And so we certainly have set a target. We exceeded the target of 200 for last year, and we've increased that for 525 moving forward. But I believe that the way that we're conducting them now, we should get more responses. The average daily website visits, 7,123 was our actual average. And although we set our target at 6,000, I'm excited to say that in the high traffic areas, we are starting to see increases. We have more people who are also doing editing and things on the website. And so that's, you know, a good thing that we're starting to see more people come out with that. But also with our social media, which we'll look at those metrics in a moment, you know, I think people are using multiple sources for gaining information. So not everyone is visiting the website quite as frequently, but we did see some increased activity on that. I would like to note that we are excited about the fact that we are launching a new web interface this school year, and our staff is feverishly working behind the scenes right now to make sure that that's user-friendly and it will be mobile responsive, which is something that we've talked about with the previous launch that we had hoped to provide for our stakeholders. Also, as I mentioned, the social media, we had increases in that area, especially on our Twitter and Facebook followers. You can see our actuals for Twitter was 1625, and we had set our target at 1241. Also for Facebook, 2655, and our target was 1439. So we doubled in many ways over the previous year. And as I said, we've seen increased activity among our users. So, you know, with people sharing our information, we've expanded it to outreach with tagging of businesses and things like that. So I think the exposure in our social media has grown over last year. And also with the percentage of, I want to speak to the parental satisfaction with communication from the school division. You see that there's some not applicables on that. One of the things that we decided this last couple of years as we have reached out to people through these surveys, I believe that we were looking for more information with regards to our technology, with a counseling plan, and all these other activities. And so we decided we didn't want to overtax our community with, you know, extensive surveys. And so the fact that we launched Let's Talk and some other modes of communication over the last year and a year and a half, I think we're in a better position this year to poll our community to find out which methods they're using more frequently and what they find to be more effective. So you'll see that happening this year. And then the number of businesses and community partnerships, we did have a great increase in that area. Last year, we were at 66, and this year, we are excited to say that we have 96 known partnerships. And I would like to attribute that to the extensive work that our CTE team has been doing as we expanded that program and our outreach opportunities to bring businesses in at the local school level, of course, through our TAG program and others, the career days and different things that we've seen. Our schools work really hard to bring partners in, but also with the academies and the things that we're doing in CTE, I believe that we can attribute some of that increase to that as well. That's it for communications, and I believe at this time, our Executive Director of Finance and Operations, Mr. Hawkins, is going to share about his area.
I was going to wait till the end, I got a couple way back.
Good evening. As far as the finance part of it, the annual satisfaction survey, this is our target or our base year, so we don't have any results for that. We established a fraud abuse hotline last year, and we haven't had any reported cases to this point. Independent auditors report the audit. We've always received an unqualified opinion, and we don't anticipate anything different this year. The audit will be completed. I think they're scheduled to come in October to finish their audit for FY16. So we don't have an audit report at this time. We'll be sharing it with the Finance Committee, with the school board at that time. The next item is focus area 4 with support services. We've met all of our targets except for one. Do I need to move it? Okay. We've met all of our targets except for one, and that was a water consumption. And that's simply because we had an issue at Metz Middle School that has been corrected. We anticipate meeting that target next year coming forward. All of our quarterly building inspection reports were met, and all the action items that are identified in these inspections have been resolved at a 99% rate. And we have, I think, 14 projects going forward that we're working on at this time. So next up will be our Director of Technology, Mr. Bobby Barrett.
Good evening. With regards to our instructional technology, we have yet to meet our goal, but the baseline year was this past year with a 90% target rate, but moving forward next year, this coming year, is going to be our technology proficiency and utilization assessment survey, in which we survey the staff. With regards to blended learning, professional development, we set our target at 70%, and we made 41% this year, large gains from last year, or the previous year, 5%. Still not there yet. We'll keep working toward that. In terms of equity and classrooms and instructional hardware and instructional technology, we met our goal of 2-to-1 student to computer ratio, kept up with the increases in enrollment, set our target again for this year through K-8, and then fully 1-to-1 at the high school. Network uptime, our target's always been 5 nines. Just to put that in perspective, that's about 26 seconds a month of downtime. We're just over about 5.25 minutes. We didn't quite make that. I think we had about 10 minutes of downtime, 99.81%. And then the percentage of technology requests responded to within 2 business days. And this is really our second year of a big push in using our ticketing system. Our target is 100% of those, and we increased to 81% of those.
Thank you, sir.
And that concludes the presentation of the annual update of our performance data.
All right, everybody sit down. We'll see if we got some questions. Mr. Albright.
I'll start with a couple of observations and questions, and fantastic presentation. And let me, I think, start with this board makes data-driven decisions, and I know there are thoughts and perceptions in the community about various things, and I hope the level of granularity that we just saw dispels a bit of that. You know, I think if you asked a whole bunch of people in a random poll, would they think Alexandria schools are better than ours, they'd say yes, and we just proved they're not. In fact, if you look at the data that was just shown, if you look at neighboring peer systems, we exceeded them in 41 of 60 criteria, yet the perception is we don't have a good school system. And that is the perception we continue to have to fight, and hopefully we can do that with this kind of data. That said, I've got a couple of maybe simple questions, maybe not, and I'm not trying to play stump the chump, I apologize.
For calling you a chump.
It's me, I've got all these kind of sayings, pigs fly, all those kind of things. Which, by the way, the pigs will fly before I go do that 5K. On slide 3, you talked about various things. Just the only question I really have is, do you know what the state average for LEP students was in reading? Because, we did really well, and that is just one, we have such a large LEP population, we're within a point or two, we way off, and, certainly it's easier for a school system as a small population to do well, so.
Sure, the state rate was 61%. We're
So
off by
within
3
a percent or two, yeah, 15, okay. And the following slide, slide 4, for I guess my benefit and the benefit of the audience, because I suspect there's some groups not counted, but it defies logic how we can exceed the average in all the subcategories, but not exceed it at the average level. So something must be in the numerator denominator you're not thinking about.
Well, not me, but...
Oh, no, you're not right, but I'm not thinking about it as I'm looking at the data.
Yeah. No, Chairman DeMary had the same question for me last year.
I think so.
And what happens is that there's duplicative counts in these subgroups, and there's smaller denominators with each of these subgroups, and when you combine, it breaks out like that. These calculations come from the state. I know it seems weird, but because of the duplicated count and the smaller subgroups, the subgroups become smaller too. When you combine those two factors, there's a hair difference that's splitting that.
I still don't get it, but I believe you.
And then on the math slides, is there a way, as we're looking at the peer group, and I love when you're looking at, the class of 2020, class of 2023 and everything, is there a way at METS to do a factored math score based upon enrollments to say the average was this, so that you could actually look at it? Because it looked to me 2014 to 15 compared to 15, 16, when you start looking at the classes, math, algebra, geometry, the pass rates were roughly the same. But if you look at grade 3, grade 4, grade 5 math, if you take that class cohort and say, here they are average in math, is that a fair way to do that, or is, again, because of duplicative accounts, because of something it might not work right?
Well, we can definitely go down granular as we need to, because I can make it a pure class, a pure group analysis, and that's basically what we've done, and we've broken out. But I think we can probably take a look at a deeper analysis.
Is that how the state does it when they figure out your math pass score, though, for METS?
No.
I mean, obviously, we're all looking at METS specifically for a lot of reasons, and
They look at the overall pass rate for the school. They don't break it up by cohort or anything like that. They just look at it by test and by subject as an aggregate number.
so they would add all those math classes together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whether it's regular math or algebra or geometry or...
Oh, yes, they do. This is a math subject total score, total pass rate, and then they have factors to mitigate different scenarios.
That's all I had. I know somebody else is probably going to want to make the elephant in the room observation.
It's not a very big elephant, sir.
There are rumors in the community that we have several schools not fully accredited. The data again showed that the schools, with the exception of METS, are all fully accredited.
Yeah.
And continuing upward trends for more than 4 years.
Correct. Anything, ladies? Anyone?
Yes,
You
sir.
guys are good. Thank you very much, and the rumors are just that. Facts are facts. Right. And we thank you all very much for all of your work.
Hopefully you want to jump on
that. Student Achievement Dean, Dr. Jones.
Good evening, Chairman Demaria, Dr. McGork, and school board members. I'm entering my third year as the principal at the historic Jenny Dean Elementary School. The data that I will share with you tonight will show, and it displays, that student achievement at Jenny Dean is moving upward. Faculty and students have a growth mindset, and students have a I can attitude. While in the classroom last year, a student was asked to come to the board to do a math problem. He did not want to come to the board. He says, "I am not smart." Mrs. Carvillo told him he was smart and that she would help him. It took some time, but the student was successful and he gained confidence that day. We have many teachers like Mrs. Carvillo who have high expectations and a growth mindset for our students. Our celebrations this year: a new mission and vision statement, a new schedule incorporating boost blocks for reading and math to support intervention and enrichment, Title I events to include a spaghetti dinner, a make and take homework folder, and one school, one book, an increase in reading, math, and Virginia Studies achievement and SOL pass rates. Most subgroups have increased pass rates in reading and math over the past 4 years. We had the Manassas City Public School First Year Teacher of the Year, Taylor Forgrave, the Manassas City Public School Support Staff of the Year, Katrina Ward, an increase in parent participation for school events, an increase in school business partnerships, and the PBIS School Incentive Program, Dolphin Dollars. Pass rate by subjects. Dean's pass rates have increased over the past 3 years in reading and math. The Virginia Studies score decreased in 2014-2015. Target instruction and pre-SOL tutoring helped the Virginia Studies score increase by 20 points in 2015-2016. Reading pass rates by subgroups. Our reading subgroups saw increases in 2 areas. Guided reading instruction will continue to be a focal point this year. A consultant will be at the school throughout the year to provide training and feedback. Teachers also incorporate strategies learned in vocabulary instruction and previewing LFS professional development. Tutoring sessions for students who fail the reading SOL will be offered in October, with additional sessions in the winter and spring. Special education students will experience a new schedule this year, and teachers are collaborating with grade levels, and teachers will continue to focus on rigor in all standards. Math pass rates by subgroups. We saw greater success in pass rates for subgroups in math. Math requires less reading, and teachers have worked hard to align the standards and curriculum. Before and after school tutoring and scaffolding have also helped students see success in math. We are proud of our areas with double-digit growth. Pass rates by SOL tests. Increases were noted in all areas except 4th grade reading. The school improvement team and teachers are committed to analyzing data to determine focus areas for instruction. Rigor and high-order thinking skills will be a focal point this year. Rereading to determine the appropriate answer was a strategy taught in 3rd grade. It will be emphasized in 4th grade this year. In addition, the RTI process will also be used to target interventions for 4th grade students. Our balanced scorecard. Okay.
That's the next tab. You got it.
The reading and math targets were not met, but increases were noted. The history target was met. The advanced pass rate target was met in math. Our students participated in career awareness events. The daily attendance remained the same. Instructional staff attendance went down by 3%. Teacher retention was 79% due to teacher promotions, teachers moving out of the state, and teachers moving to districts where their children attend. The PTA participation increased, but we did not meet the goal for parents attending monthly meetings. It ranged from around 10 to about 28 per meeting. Parent participation greatly increased for all activities. And Mr. DeMaria, you'll be happy with this next thing. The attendance at parent-teacher conferences rose from 28% to 79%.
Way to go, parents.
Yes. School business partnership increased to 11, and lastly, teachers participating in blended learning rose to 71%. We're making strides and we'll continue to work hard. Our findings. I can't see even with my glasses on.
There's a bad glare down here, you can't see
Okay, you
the
can see.
screen.
Thank you. Okay. Findings. Celebrations. Target was met for SRL Advanced Pass Rate in Math. Economically disadvantaged and Gap Group 3 both increased by 22 points over the past 4 years in math, and Gap Group 2 increased by 27 points over the past 4 years in reading. Areas for improvement. Increase the rigor in classroom assignments, expose students to more high-level questions, focus on guided reading and reading instruction, and Gap Group performance and special disabilities for reading. Those will be areas that we'll work on this coming year. Now to look at our goals. Increase literacy performance based on appropriate grade level assessments. For pre-kindergarten, we want 75% of students to meet or exceed the Spring PALS assessments. For kindergarten through second grade, 80% of students will exceed or meet the Spring PALS assessment. And for third and fourth grade, 75% of students will score 400 or above on the Virginia Standards of Learning Reading Assessment. Our next goal is math. Increase math performance based on appropriate grade level assessments. In kindergarten, 75% of students will meet or exceed Ames Web benchmark assessments. For grades 1 and 2, 80% of students will meet or exceed the grade level benchmark on the MCOMP Ames Web assessment. And for grades 3 and 4, 80% of students will score at least a 400 or above on the Virginia Standards of Learning Math Assessment. And lastly, while academics is a great portion for what we want to do, we also want to increase our overall parent and family engagement by 50% to support student achievement. I will end this evening with our new mission and vision statement. Our mission statement. Our mission, in partnership with our diverse community, is to provide an engaging, motivating, challenging environment where all students are supported as they develop into lifelong learners. And our new vision statement, students will use creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking to be successful learners, demonstrating safe, responsible, and respectful behaviors as productive citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone? Any questions? I'll go back to my thing of last year since you called me out on it. Those that are watching, the hundreds of people that are watching, last year I kind of lost my mind a little bit when our parent-teacher conference rate was in the 20s. And it wasn't because of our schools, it was because of our parents. I don't know what you did, how you drug them in there, but you did. And now we've got 8 of 10 kids represented at parent-teacher conferences rather than 2.5 kids per 10. And the parents, Mr. Lyon brought it up, it starts at home, and thank you very much for getting those parents involved at one of your goals, and it's critical for these young kids to have parents, guardians, whoever, grandparents, whoever it is involved, and I just thank you very much for doing that because I think that's critical to them.
Thank you, it's very important to us.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to Weems, Mr. Rupert. Oh, Am I right? Okay. I've got it on order here. I'm going down through, I'm just reading the way it's on the thing here. Sir?
You good?
I'm good, sir.
All right, Chairman Demaria, Dr. McGuirk, members of the school board, it's an honor to be here as a very proud principal at Weems Elementary School to share some of the data and some of the successes that we've had over the past year. So, is there a clicker, or I'm just going to let this?
I can do it for you if you'd like.
No, yeah, it's fine, it's like sensitive. Okay, so Weems Wildcat Pride is one thing that, that we have with our uniforms and our school colors, and we're always wearing our red, and you can spot us around, or if you drive past our school, you see our uniforms and the kids running around. It really has made really made it difficult for games of tag, from what the students tell me, because, they're chasing the same people. So, but one of the things that I really share with staff, and we as a staff really take pride in, is Weems is a neighborhood school, and we're in the city here, and we are all neighborhood schools. So we represent every student, every parent, every aunt, uncle, grandfather, anybody that lives in the neighborhood, and we as a staff make sure that the students are prepared, and we want to make the community proud, just as we would like for our home if it's not in the Weems district. So having said that, I want to go through some of our celebrations, and I had it on a PowerPoint where they kind of like appeared and all that, but they're just listed, so there's a good bit of them here, so just kind of stick with me. We are a high-performing Title I school, and that's something that we're very proud of, and what is a high-performing Title I school? It's a school that celebrates diversity. We're a school that has over 70% economically disadvantaged. That's a high number for Title I, and 55% ELL students. But that's something that we celebrate, we're excited about, and it motivates us to push us to make sure that we're giving every one of these kids the best opportunity that they have. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about the data and things there. So consistent growth in meeting all academic goals. So, as you can see, as we're going through with all this data, we set goals and we all set rigorous goals. And this happened to be a year that, it doesn't happen every year. We push for it to happen every year, but we hit every one of our academic goals: reading, math, and Virginia studies. I'll get into some of that data a little bit further. So, as we progress, I want to talk a little bit about all the different progressions, and I know that Mr. Lyon touched upon it. Over 4 years, this is my 4th year as principal at Weems, and as we started and embarked 4 years ago, we embarked the first day. I was taking over the tag program that was getting off, and the first day I showed up, it was the first day of uniforms. So it was, it was all of these things that it was exciting, taking on new programs and exciting programs that were set up by the people before me. In reflecting on that, the cool part about it is when you trust implementations, of your instructional framework, of RTI, of TAG, and uniform, and you trust those things, and you really don't try to do it all and bite it off, you really see the value in it, and you see the progressions, and your staff will kind of move with you. So I'm really proud of the students and staff, and we'll see some of those things. So this summer, we were all up at University of Connecticut at Confortude. It's an international educational conference for gifted students. But within that is Joseph Renzulli's school-wide enrichment model. While we were up there, he was, the Gifted School of Education was named after him. And we're sitting there powwowing with him at the table, and he's naming us a visitation school for this region, where he put his eyes on us. He came and did professional development. And if you would see when I explained that Dr. Joe Renzulli came to my school when we're in Connecticut, we're talking about this, people want our autographs and stuff like that. But I'll explain a little bit. We had our team, they invited us to actually be presenters, and we're a model school. I was able to be on the Leaders Forum, working with other principals that are SEM around a lot of schools in Texas, up in the Northeast. It's still kind of growing down here, but it's been really cool. So that's definitely a celebration that I'd like to share. Back in 2015, we were able to earn the National Excellence in Urban Education Award, and that was great. We got to go to Dallas and present and share our experiences, and I'm afforded the opportunity now, being an award-winning, the principal that represented Weems, to be able to travel around the country and be a Criteria Award winner and kind of get to see other great schools and get other ideas and bring them back to Manassas City and bring them back to my team. So that's a great thing, and that kind of transitions into our shared leadership. I bring those great ideas back to my team. They have to kind of stop me because I have so many of them. So it's that trusting implementation and really making sure that you're trusting the process. But I have a great PLT. We have an opportunity in Manassas City that our central office gives us time and funding to work and really reflect on our school, think about our schedule, create our norms for the school year, reflect on the year with our leadership team, our grade level leads, all those types of things. And I really thank them for their dedication, my whole PLT, for each summer and through the year, meeting on those things consistently. And I also want to thank my PTO. They're stronger than ever. We have a very strong executive board this year, and really moving forward over the 4 years, I think we're really set up and moving forward to go there. So, and we're pushing forward with some ideas for students as well. So dedicated staff and presenters. So kind of going through with some of the presenters in the model, we obviously talk about how we're a model school in terms of TAG, but our ESOL team is amazing. And they've been presenting. They presented at a state conference. They represented Weems and Manassas City on co-teaching, which was a great honor. And we actually had a group come up from Spotsylvania that wanted to see how our co-teaching was happening. What are we doing with our ELLs? How are we getting this co-teaching, not just standing to the side, but everybody active and using those skills? And so that was great. We had regional presenters at the math conferences and state conferences. They had attendees. Our coaches presented at the Region 4. They presented our RTI process for all of Region 4 to reflect on and see and think about how we've progressed over those years. And lastly, the fun story that I had a picture of all the red that we had, but on a Saturday I offered there was a regional conference that was here in Manassas, and it was $10. So everybody wanted to go, and it's, well, you pay for the $10, and I said, this is going to be a great investment. So my team of 18 teachers showed up on a Saturday morning to do professional development during the school year last year, wearing their math nerd t-shirts, and it was a math conference. So it was a pretty cool sight, and just really great individuals there. And getting into, just to kind of give you a little bit of depth about TAG and SEM and the school-wide enrichment model, it's really the authentic learning. We have multi-grade level electives that you guys have heard, so how cool is that when you get to be in a grade with another student from not even another class, but a whole nother grade, and learn from them. We have people being role models in older grades for younger kids looking up, building those connections and things that they didn't even know that they had. So those are in the clusters based on their talents and their gifts and their interests. And also in the classroom, we really try to do career exposure and have those types of things. And it builds on those 21st century soft skills that really are so important for kids that we don't really think about for their mental health. Really being able to talk to one another and share ideas and have those things. So I think the last thing to kind of reflect on that, to kind of group it in together, is that the uniform piece, that you don't really realize how it eliminates distractions. But now think about this. They have authentic learning. They have real life experience and exposure to real life things that they can think about, share with kids from other grade levels, really build those skills, and not have the distractions of the kid wearing the messy t-shirt that he wanted and his mom won't buy for him the whole time he's sitting there upset, I wanted that jersey, I wanted that, Mom and Dad, I really wanted that jersey. No, but so those types of things really kind of eliminate distractions, have pride in our school, and kind of make that connection. So I hope that you see that celebration and kind of understand a little bit more about what we do. And in our clusters, we had 25 authentic community speakers that came to our school, talked about their careers, talked about different types of things, and exposed them to background knowledge that they wouldn't have had before. So it's kind of like career day every Wednesday for our clusters, and they work on projects. So those are just some of the celebrations. Okay, so pass rates by subject. As you see here, we have 2012 to 2015, and you see some jumps. A couple of things to note here is that we've had our reading and math, up 8 and 7, and really with the staff this year with 2015, we'll talk about some of the other stats, but you've been seeing some of the numbers that come through, and we're very proud to represent the division here with 80s, 83, 86, 89, have an 80s party and wear some cool socks and do some things there. So we're excited about that. We're extremely excited about English and reading, a 10% jump there this year. So that's something that I guess you'll see in some of the other slides. Again, here is reading, so you'll see some considerable jumps this year with some difference, and a considerable jump from 4 years ago. So we were in a good place 4 years ago, and we're even in a better place now. So that's the exciting piece, and we're moving with that momentum. So if you take a look here, one thing that hops, we see all the green, and we do see a white area in the gap group too. So later in the presentation, when I talk about areas for improvement, I'll share a little bit with how we want to attack and what the team is looking at and what we're working with there. Moving into math. As you can see, really with math, the thing that's really cool about math is we're consistent with math and just kind of moving the train forward. Like I talked about my staff, they're wonderful. They have passion for conceptual learning, for the balanced approach with getting in with the basics and the conceptualness and really pushing forward. So really see some great scores pushing through here. All right, and then here we move forward pass rates by the SOL test. So some things to note here, as we talk about being a Title I school, as we talk about, celebrating diversity, we're not afraid to perform with those other schools. And as you can see, if you take a look at our average versus the state average, we're blowing the state average out of the box here for the most part. So we're 9 points ahead of the state average in third grade reading, 5 in fourth grade, and 10 in third grade math. So we're extremely proud, and we're extremely proud, like I said, to contribute to the division and push our students forward and make sure that they're ready to go on to Mayfield and Metz and Osborne and build that foundation for them. Okay, balanced scorecard. Okay, I think she's pulling it up. Right, Lee?
Yep.
Ms. Miller,
We're
sorry.
fighting.
Okay, all right, so I don't have mine here. Again, as others have stated, like I talked about at the beginning, we've met our goals, all 3 academic goals. When you set a goal and you have a team and you have a plan and it comes to fruition, it's just it's an amazing feeling, as many of you have experienced, I'm sure, in your careers. So we're going to continue to move forward with our goals and push forward, which I'll talk about. Our pass advanced rate, that's something that I'm going to address a little bit later as well. We're proud of our pass advanced rate, but we want to keep moving. We want to move beyond just the basic and get take advantage of some of those higher order thinking things and kind of push forward. So that's where we are there. Numbers of we have all our students participated in a career event this year. We had Career Day, and that was an event for everyone. We have our counselor for every grade level having 2 career exposure lessons, and we also have TAG, which, like I talk about, is really that authentic type of learning and exposure to many different careers and different types of things on an ongoing basis. So our staff attendance rate, we set a 2% increase, and we made that increase right at 96%. Student attendance, we stayed right at there and had our goal at 96. Teacher retention rate, we have a very stable staff, only a few new teachers this year, so which is great to kind of keep the things moving along. That was great. We met our goal there. The PTO, like I talked about, they're fantastic. They worked with me from some different ideas, and really what they wanted to do is work some quarterly meetings. They wanted to have quarterly meetings because they felt that it was, if we can chunk as many meetings down and give that opportunity on a quarterly basis, communicate those things, and try to have some fun events around that, we can get some more people in and do some different things. So having said that, we were able to meet our goal, and we're going to try to continue to do some more of that. And I don't know if you guys been around Weems Road when we have events, but it's pretty crazy, and there's no parking, and because so many parents come out. So it's a great thing. We've had great success with One School, One Book, muffins for moms, donuts for dads. I think somebody said something about granola for grannies, but I don't know if we were going to do that or not. No, I don't know. We haven't done that. Sorry. So let's see, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. So percentage of parents, again, that's baseline data. Student extracurricular clubs, we had an increase in our extracurriculars, so we're good to go there. We met our goal. Number of business partnerships. Now, I talked a little bit about having the community partnerships with TAG, and that's something that I'm going to talk about in the goal. I didn't really, just because they came in maybe once or twice, I wanted to make sure that I streamlined a process for the actually, let's come into a partnership, not just a speaker and things sharing, but we're going to work on that. Percentage, parent-teacher conference participation rate. So we had 100% participation rate. So that's something that, when I sat here last year and talked with you all, that's something that you were passionate about. I came back and talked to my PLT, I talked to my office staff, and we attacked that with our first parent-teacher conference. We had a deadline set for in the middle of December. We made sure that we hit that at in our February. And then I have a great staff and office staff that's bilingual. We really reached out, and they may not have been person-to-person conferences, but it was contacting them saying, do you understand that we would like to meet with you and talk with you about your child, and we're going to have this, it's going to be a parent-teacher conference. So all reported that every child was met with throughout the school year. So just to be clear there. And the percentage of teachers with professional development, last year we were moving and sharing resources on OneNote. And this year, so they were trained through blended learning and how to use that with their students and things like that. And this year, exciting, we're transitioning from OneNote into Google. So I'm anticipating that we'll still be at the 100% with that. Okay? So areas of strength, one of our goals last year, if you remember when I was here able to speak with you, was our students with disabilities. And I'm happy to report that our students with disabilities in reading had an increase of 17 percentage points, and our math had double digits of 12 percentage points. So we're very happy that we met that goal, and very happy to speak to you about that. And we've already talked about all three of the goals that we met throughout the year. So the areas of improvement, we're going to increase Gap Group 2 achievement. So that's something that when we took a look at the data kind of popped out at us. So through our RTI process, through some periodic meetings and some planning with the grade level leads and talking there with targeted intervention, that's going to be a focus area for us this year. And like we talked about, we want to increase pass advance percentages moving beyond the pass as well. And finally, we have our goals. Again, we're consistently moving. We made a 10% increase in reading this year, so, we're setting our goal for 3% more. For math, we consistently have gone up. We're at 86, higher than we've ever been. We want to be at 89. Virginia Studies, we want to break into that 90 zone. So those are our goals, and really the last thing to kind of round it out with the home and school connection that kind of connects it all is a community outreach goal. And we want to continue to do the things that we're doing, but we want to have multiple opportunities for parents to provide feedback, as well as come in to visit us, increase that number. I want to come out with a baseline establish baseline data for surveys and really reach out, and I really want to get their voice this year. Our division now has some of those capabilities, so I want to kind of dip my toe in the water and see what I can do to do those types of things. And we want to establish a process, more of a formal process for our TAG program, to have the people that come in communicate, talk about some different types of things of how we can be a partnership, how we can share our information at their business and have other people come in our city. And the last one is something that we've talked about with redistricting. We want to make sure that our new community from Centerville Road there are Wildcats. We want to make sure that we welcome them and have different types of events. So we had the great event that worked with Neighborhood Services providing ice cream on Centerville Road. We really appreciate working in the city with that. And Ms. Seberg was at our Weems Family Picnic. 340 parents showed up last Friday in the heat outside, brought their food, and, it was amazing to see. Really the cool thing about it was the parents talking to one another, seeing the kids that are in their class, and really building that connection within the neighborhood, too. So not only that, they were friends, and they're going to set up play dates, and they're talking about people, where do you live on the same street? So, again, we're a neighborhood school. We want to make the community proud. That's something that we're proud of, and that's all I have, so
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Kiefer?
More of a confession for Mr. Rupert. So just like Mr. Demaria last year had kind of honed in on the parent-teacher conference thing, I have to say, in driving over here, I was remembering the conversation about the students with disabilities numbers last year and how we sort of questioned you about that. So I just wanted to publicly say, yes, I was going to come in and ask about that, and your answer was really good. So congratulations on that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Share with the team.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hayden Elementary, Dr. Wilder.
All right, I'll look at the screens behind you because if I put the glasses on, then I can't see close up. So thank you, Chairman Demaria, Dr. McGorrick, members of the board. Thank you for having me. I was a little excited. I was trying to get up earlier to share our good news. I have some great Hayden Hawk friends in the back there. One had to leave because she has a 4-year-old who needed to go to bed. But it's my coaching staff, and then I think one of the best PE teachers in the whole universe who is here at our school. So thank you to all of you for coming to cheer me on. So we had so many celebrations, and we're so happy each and every day to go to Hayden, and it's just a wonderful place. And I know Mrs. Seberg was able to come and visit yesterday, and I was very, very pleased to be able to show her all the great things that we're doing. And so we have so many amazing teachers, and one of them was recognized as a Manassas City Elementary Teacher of the Year, Mr. Jeffrey Osborne, teaches first grade. He is amazing. We completed our 2-year planning for the Spanish dual language immersion. That was all completed, and that started this year in 3 of our 5 kindergarten classrooms, and I was able to show that to you. And all of you, I would love to have you come and see and experience and see what they're doing in the classroom each and every day. We added 4 new pieces to our playground, which has been fabulous. And it all occurred last spring, less than 2 weeks total time. Really, the city did a fabulous job in supporting that transition, and the kids have really enjoyed and put good use to that equipment. The redistricting shift was incredibly successful. I think that the open house that we had was so well attended in June. It was a seamless transition when everybody started here. We were just so blessed to have a wonderful opening to our school year. We had our 4th grade reading cohort. We had significant improvement there, and of course I'll talk about the data as we go through the PowerPoint. And then of course 4 years of continued growth in math for the past 4 years. So this will be my 5th year, and we've worked really hard each and every year to improve performance. So we have our pass rates by subject. We've had growth in reading over the course of 4 years. When you look at the scores overall, that doesn't tell the whole picture. We've had incredible growth in our 3rd grade scores, and I'll talk more about that as we move through this. And then, of course, our 4th grade cohort, those 3rd grade scores from the year before really improved, and so we'll be able to share those celebrations. And then, of course, we've had continued growth in math over the past 4 years, and really worked to increase Virginia history, and that's going to be an area that we really keep targeting our performance and improving that for our students. Thank you, Lee. So in reading pass rates by subgroups, you can see our scores from last year were kind of stagnant overall, but over the course of the past 4 years, we are making strides. We are working on guided reading support, small group instruction. We have after-school tutoring programs that we bring in our kids to help offer support. And again, the cohort scores really tell the tale that we have targeted the remediation and the extension. We really want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students, not just average or lower level students. We want all of our students to really excel and support the needs by providing that small targeted reading instruction. We're very proud of our work, Mrs. Kiefer, with our students with disabilities. So that we really
by meeting the needs of all of our students, providing them grade level standards and expectations with that small group support makes all the difference. And my coaches, which is why, and I practiced in front of them. and they were really excited about it, and it was their idea to come and support this process, tonight. So all of their hard work with the PLCs, meeting with the teachers, going over the data, analyzing what's working, what's not, what can we do, has just made a wealth of difference for us. Let's go into math. Math, we're super excited. Math has been fabulous. We started a 30-30-30 block where we have 30 minutes of whole group instruction of the grade level standard, and then being able to target 2 30-minute blocks of intervention, remediation, extension, enrichment. It's just getting our kids thinking and talking about math. And as you can see, it's really paying off, and we're meeting the needs of so many of our gap groups. We have a lot of work to do, obviously, still, but we're moving upward. We're making the growth that we're very proud of, and our students they're just so excited to come every day, and they really work hard. So here's kind of where you can see the piece where our third grade scores went up 5 percentage points, and then looking at fourth grade, the year before they had a score of 63, and then this year they went up 9 percentage points to 72. So really targeting that small group instruction has resulted in the growth that we were looking for, and we are going to continue to target and support all of our students to keep that upward trajectory. And then, of course, in math, we made gains in both third and fourth grade individually as well as combined. We're very excited and proud of the score of 84, which exceeded the state average. So we really feel like we're on the right path to meeting the needs of our students, and the 4-year gain is something that we're exceptionally proud of. It's been a long process, as you all know. It's hard to bring into play, a new instructional framework, but we're very confident that we're on the right path. And again, we will continue working with Virginia Studies to keep that upward trajectory. So this scorecard. Okay, I can't see that one. So we didn't meet our overall goals. We had set pretty high goals in the different areas. But again, we're very proud of the work that we did. I can almost see. And then our pass advanced rates, we definitely have a lot of work to do in those areas, and we are going to continue to push our students and provide the advanced extension and enrichment that our students need, deserve, and enjoy. That will be a main priority this year. We have excellent results with our career awareness events. The students always enjoy, being a part of the process, learning more about different careers and opportunities available to them. We met our student attendance rate. You can't learn if you're not here at school, so it's really important that they come to school, and we're happy that they did. We are very proud of the work we made getting our teachers to be able to come to school, being healthy enough and able. They did improve. We didn't quite meet the goal, but at 95.36, we're very excited that that we're again on the upward trajectory, and we're very proud. We exceeded our teacher retention rate. Hayden is a great place to work. And, the kids are happy, teachers are happy. There's just so much going on there, and a 93% retention rate is something that we're very proud of. So we're going to keep working on that. So again, we are looking to increase the number of families who come to PTA meetings. I love the idea of quarterly. I might propose that. What we are trying this year, though, is we're trying a PTA meeting before school. So that's new this year. We'll start at 7:15, so maybe people can come and then head off to work. So we'll see if that might be another opportunity to involve more families. We have an excellent school-wide participation rate. We do have donuts with dad and muffins with mom, and we also have a number of evening events, and everybody just comes, and it's always a warm, welcoming environment, and we want to continue that. Our conference rate did increase. We almost met our goal, but again, we're going to continue to offer different options where they're going to be able to phone in, have a phone conference, and be able to talk with the teachers and make sure that we're touching and talking to each and every parent about their child's progress. It's incredibly important. Our extracurricular participation rate, a huge member of that team is back there, Mrs. Jenkins. She offers all kinds of different programs. We have yoga, we had cheerleading, we have running club, we have just a huge number of different things that the students love to participate in. And then we're going to add some new clubs. We'll have a Math 24 club this year, and we'll look to increase the variety of things that we have to continue to inspire our students to come either before school or after school for fun, enriching activities. And then we're looking to continue to increase our school and business partnership. The Ashton Diner was the big one that joined and supported us this year. They are amazing, so everybody, I know that just the hundreds of people that are watching on television right now, Ashton Diner has been amazing to Hayden, and we just want to thank them, give them a public shout out for all of the wonderful things they've done. And Lenar's Lawns has been wonderful, Kohl's is fabulous, so all of these different organizations support the schools in a bunch of really positive ways, and we thank them. And then our teachers getting different training for blended learning. It's so incredibly important for our teachers to know how to use the technology, to then teach our students to support their engagement, to keep them involved, and keeping up with, that's one of the hardest challenges, keeping up with the technology. And so we made incredible progress, but we still have work to do, and we're going to keep working on that this year. So, thank you, Lee. So in looking at all of the data, we recognize the positive growth for our students with disabilities in both reading and math by more than 10 percentage points, 10 and 14. And math, our continued growth over the past 4 years, especially in all of our subgroups. That's so incredibly important that we're meeting the needs and reaching the needs of so many students. And again, in looking and analyzing the data of our reading growth by cohort, looking at the third grade growth and the fourth grade growth, and keeping and supporting them, looking at the data in the PLCs, looking at how we can better support their reading. And we're very excited, thinking about the third graders that we have now. My son is one of them. He goes to Hayden. That was the first group of students as a part of the instructional framework. Like they've had the best of the best for the past it'll be 4 years. So I'm really excited to see those third grade reading and math scores come in, knowing all the hard work that went into it. So areas for improvement, continuing to target the reading support for all students, emphasizing reading and writing across the curriculum. We've already had some fabulous professional development in August before school started to focus on writing, to focus on appropriate, challenging, rigorous writing assignments, and continuing that throughout the year across the different content areas. Again, a big focus for us is increasing the Pass Advanced scores because all students deserve the best of the best, and we want to make sure that each and every child is included. And of course, continued support for our gap group students. So we're looking, of course, focusing on reading and writing across all of the grade levels. One of the measures of improvement will look at least a 77% pass rate for reading, as well as math. Higher would be better. We're going to keep targeting, working, shooting for higher. We will look to increase the Pass Advanced rate in reading to at least 15%. I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit higher. And math to 17% for the Pass Advanced rates. And of course, increasing the rigor of writing across the curriculum. We're looking at least a 77% of our students will achieve a proficiency level or higher on our end of unit writing assignments. It's just a different measure of as opposed to a benchmark test. This will be the writing assignment they create for their end of unit assignments in science, social studies, reading, and math. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions or comments? Sir.
I just have one comment, and Ms. Wallace, not to you, it's actually collectively across all the presentations, which were very informative. Something that I'll probably pick at as we continue through the deliberation process. I have a couple of more elementary schools talk about, but GAP Group 2, or what we used to call the African American subgroup, historically on my tenure on the board, has been one of our more, some would say stable, some would say stagnant. We had a lot of flat performance there. And across the three presentations, I saw a lot of dynamic volatility. And I don't know if that's good or bad or what's causing that. Certainly we want everyone to trend up positively, and it concerns me to look at some of the numbers going down. So there's obviously every child is a special case, every reason is different, but I know you all are looking at that, so
yes,
that's just across the three, that's one thing that jumped out at me.
Me too. Anyone else? Across the board too, everybody keeps talking, and last year it was going to be so hard to redistrict. Between our principals and our central office and everybody else, it was so easy. And I'm so proud of everybody that put work into that. It's such a difficult thing to do, and it was going to be a terrible, terrible thing, and you're always trying to avoid it. And this group of people did it seamlessly, and I'm very proud of everybody that was involved with that. Early morning PTA, it's a good idea, but you better go to 6:30. Just my thought.
Okay.
Maybe even 5:30. I'll get there if you go then. But 7:30, the day's half over. All right.
You sound like me.
Yeah, I know. Thank you very much, Dr. Wilder. I believe we are ready for closed session?
Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the city of Manassas enter closed session pursuant to exemption from open meetings allowed by section 2.23711, part A, paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia 1950, as amended for the following purpose. Section 2.23711, part A, paragraph 1, discussion of personnel matters, PERS 1617-0233 through PERS 1617-0237, and other personnel matters.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mrs. Sebeski, that the school board enter closed session pursuant to exemptions from open meetings allowed by section 2.2-3711, part A, paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia 1950, as amended for the following purposes. Discussion of personnel matter, PER 1617-0233 through PERS 1617-0237, and other personnel matters. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 6-0. Thank you all very much for being here, both sides of the aisle there.